A lot of people try to empty their bucket and find it doesn't stay empty. Well, first off, let's let go of the idea of emptying your bucket. Nobody empties the bucket. We just have to create space. They take a vacation and they feel better for a few days and then they crash again. They cut back on work and they still feel terrible. The needle doesn't really move. And there's usually 3 reasons. The first is that they're only addressing the visible stressors while the invisible ones keep running. The blood sugar is still swinging. The sleep is still fragmented. They're chronically dehydrated. They're still burning the candle at both ends. Reducing the emotional load helps, but it can't empty a bucket that's still being filled from all other directions. The second reason is that the stress response system has been in activation for so long, it's lost its ability to settle on its own. It starts over-perceiving its environment as stressful, which then fills the bucket even faster. So even when stressors are reduced, the body stays in fight or flight. And rest doesn't restore because the body never actually drops into the state where restorative healing is actually possible. And third is that they haven't yet learned how to turn the drain on in that bucket. So that's the other side. The bucket has a drain, multiple even. The goal is to keep those drains open while reducing what's coming in. Both help. Supporting the nervous system's ability to settle. Slow diaphragmatic breathing activates the vagus nerve and begins to shift the body out of fight or flight. Slow rhythmic movement does the same. Time in calm, non-demanding environments, like nature. Eating in a settled, parasympathetic state rather than on the run or in your car. These send physiologic signals to the nervous system that it's safe to stand down. And the key word here is consistent. Do these things long enough and you rewire the stress response system itself. One deep breath doesn't create space in the bucket, but providing those signals day after day is what begins to shift the system out of chronic activation and gives the body more space to restore. Rest that is actually restorative. So there's a difference between rest and recovery. Lying on the couch, watching something stimulating, or feeling guilty that you're lying there is not the same as genuine nervous system downtime. Real recovery means the body gets into a deep, settled state long enough to repair. Now, sleep is the primary vehicle for this, which is why it's one of the first things I address with my patients. Patients will also often say to me, if you could just get me to sleep, my adrenals would heal. But my response is always, in order to get you to sleep, we have to heal your adrenals. Pacing. This is hard for high achievers. Pacing means not spending more energy than you currently have available. It means resting on the good days. The days when you feel better and want to catch up on everything, because overdoing it on a good day refills the bucket faster than almost anything else. Sustainable progress means matching output to current capacity, not to where you were before this started. You can still do things, just take breaks. You want to avoid that go, go, go crash cycle that's so familiar. Now, if you did this walkthrough honestly, you should have a clearer picture of what's in your bucket and what's been keeping it full. And of course, this isn't a complete and comprehensive list by any means. But that understanding is important. You can't address what you can't see. And most people have been trying to feel better without ever mapping out the actual load their system's carrying. All of these practices and more create space in the bucket. We don't create space in the bucket overnight. But in time, with practice, we do create space. And that's when capacity comes back. I've seen it thousands of times, and I've watched it happen in patients who have been depleted for decades. Now, if you want a more structured read on where your system is right now, take my quiz. The link is below. And if you're already ready to work through this with a full framework behind you, that's what my self-led adrenal healing core is for. Core is a much deeper, organized framework that all of my one-on-one programs are based on. Both of those links are below.